Hi, it's Cheryl again. I'm here to talk to you more about channeling. Today, I want to talk to you about tapping in. How do you tap in? How do you develop the skill of channeling? First and foremost, you need to know that Spirit will use your frame of reference to get a message across. That means that Spirit will use signs, symbols, things that you can relate to, songs, memories, feelings, pictures in your mind, taste, smell, audible messages, and just downloads of knowing information. These, um, these, this frame of reference is your toolbox, and Spirit will use what's in your toolbox to help you get the message that they're trying to get through to you. Well, I want to kind of share with you how this process kind of got jump started for me. I've been able to do this for a very long time, but I really hadn't focused on doing it purposefully. Um, Many years ago, a friend that I grew up with, his name is Jim, and you'll hear me mention him probably many times because he's been like a brother to me. And he found me on Facebook, and it was very, very quickly that we realized, oh, we're into the same stuff. We like the crystals, the spiritual, the metaphysical, and we began to communicate with each other and just messaging, and then we were calling each other and discussing these things. Well, somewhere along the line, I don't remember how, but he knew that I could channel, and he says, Cheryl, you really need to develop this. And so he wanted to play with it a little bit, and he started giving me names to see if I could tap into these people that I had no idea who they were. I said, okay, I'm game. I think this would be a really cool experiment. And I was really, really shocked at the results. The first name he gave me was a woman named Bertha. And he told me, all he told me was her name and the town that she had lived in. I knew where the town was. It was about 30 miles from where I grew up, but I didn't know anybody there. So I went into meditation and I started seeing pictures. And the first picture I saw was this woman down on her hands and knees planting flowers. And then I got a hit about something about the Coast to Coast hardware store in that town. And as a child, I'd been to that store. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but there was the energy of that store that I felt very strongly. There was something about an old-fashioned woman's black lace-up boot, like they probably wore in the 1800s. There was something about a man with a broken leg, and then I could taste like ice cold milk and cookies, and I mean, just these very, very random things that made absolutely no sense to me. So I get about a list of a dozen different things that I see, and I write it all down, and I'm thinking, I must have done this wrong. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I called Jim back, and I said, I don't know if I did this right. And I start to tell him what I had seen, and I told him about seeing the woman planting flowers. And he says, "Oh, well, this woman's husband raised peonies, and she helped with the planting and caring for the flowers." I go, "Okay, that's good." And that was a hit. And the Coast to Coast hardware store was about her son used to work in the Coast to Coast hardware store, and that very store that I was feeling. Um, the black lace-up boot. He said, "Oh, well, her mother used to wear boots like that." And the man with the broken leg, she said, "Well, her husband broke his leg." And so what I learned from that experience, because there was quite a long list here, was that it's not my job to interpret it. My only job is to take dictation, just to tap in and write down or record whatever comes through. And the person that it is for will make sense of it. And this was a big kind of aha moment because maybe subconsciously I thought I needed to make sense of it, and I don't. I take dictation. That's what I do. But you can tap in and get information, but it takes practice. And for me, it began more so when I started doing it intentionally. It began more so with the pictures in my mind and writing all of that down. And I was really focusing on that. Like I said, Jim gave me a lot of names, and we were able to discover a lot of stuff. Um, but I have a dear friend, Salvatore, and he is a medium, and I've known him for maybe 5 years now. And as I'm working on this, project, if you want to call it that, I told Spirit, I said, I really want to develop this. I want some extra help with this. And then lo and behold, Salvatore contacts me and says, I'm going to do a class. You want to join my class? So I thought, oh, perfect timing. So I start going to Salvatore's class twice a month. And that has really pushed the envelope a little bit. And I'm learning that there are no limits. We are limitless spiritual beings. Recently, I made 4 videos for TikTok and YouTube with him on his channel called The Medium by Design. And when we did channeling from 3i Atlas, because I got a lot of information on that. So if you want to look at that, you can visit him on The Medium by Design. But it taught me that I limit myself, that there are no boundaries here, there are no limits. But I do have to say, if somebody doesn't want to talk to you, they won't. You cannot make someone talk to you that isn't, doesn't want to. I was trying to channel someone's father for them. Oh, this has been some time ago. And all I would get, he came through just enough to say, I don't believe in this. I don't want to talk to you. And that was it. Nothing I could do about it. So they have control on the other side of, the communication that they're willing to bring through. But you can always send out the invitation. And my experience has been it almost always gets answered. They want to talk to you. They really, really do. They have important things to say to you if you're willing to listen. But it takes some practice. So anyway, that's today's little tidbit on tapping in. I have tons more stories. Another really interesting one that Jim gave me was he wanted me to tap into Orville and Wilbur Wright. And I thought, that's weird. Why does he want me to tap into them? And all I remembered about the Wright brothers was that they invented the airplane, right? But I don't remember anything else about them. Literally nothing else. And I got so much information about their architecture and how they fought with each other all the time, and how, they were under threat of being imprisoned and stuff because people thought they were nuts because they wanted to fly. So it's very interesting what you can find out. And I'll probably later share some more of those channelings from, other people. But this was a good way for me to begin to practice because Jim would put everything into context for me and made sense. So I quit relying on myself to make things make sense. And that was a really important step when I really got serious about developing this. It's like, I don't have to make it make sense. All I have to do is listen and write it down. And whoever the message is for, they'll put it into context and make it make sense. That's not my job. And so it was really good for me to have that kind of validation as I began to practice more and more and trying to kind of develop the skill. And so can you. So I would really encourage you to explore and practice and have somebody to kind of help validate your information or confirm it, just so you begin to gain some confidence with what you hear. Don't edit yourself. So just allow it. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you later.